Welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to talk about the series called Taken at Birth. It basically is about this like small town country doctor somewhere in the South, I think like Georgia. He was like a family physician in this like little country town, and he was basically like doing backdoor baby dealings, like baby selling out of his clinic, and it was like shady and it was not documented. And watching this, I mean, it's horrifying. It's like I feel for these people, and it's like interviewing the now adult adoptees, kind of chronicling their journeys to searching for their birth families and for their birth parents, and them kind of banding together with this common cause of like wanting to find out about their origins and kind of dissecting their adoption stories and all of the shadiness that like surrounded them. So it was a really terrible situation. Some of the stuff in there is like really messed up. I mean, all of it's messed up. I mean, like really, like even for somebody who would feel like I have a pretty high threshold for like twisted S, and this was even extra for me. What I want to talk about is like, let's kind of compare like so this is talking about illegal backdoor baby buying business transactions, comparing to like legal legitimate adoptions. And this might be a little bit, I don't know, maybe a stretch for people, but maybe not. Like I think when I was watching it, a lot of it was very naturally paralleling a lot of adoptee stories. I think that the way that they were misled in a lot of ways, I think some of that might have been a little bit different. But when we really like pare down the concept of adoption and what that like adopted life will mean for that child, not just as a child, but like as they grow up and as they are adults and stuff, I think a lot of it's the same, honestly. So yeah, this group of people had a very specific story because it was having to do with this one doctor who was selling babies, basically. But when we think about the bigger agencies and the bigger adoption organizations, I mean, I know the argument is said that there's a lot of good that has been done by these organizations, and I'm not here to debate that or to disagree with that necessarily, but I think that the adoptee experience, these people compared to however many thousands of adoptees are out there, I think it's really similar. So we're talking about like these adoptees, like some of their biggest struggles is just not knowing who they are and where they came from and who were their birth parents and who were their birth families, and did they have extended relatives or siblings, or where were they born, how were they born, like I don't know, were they wanted, were they not wanted, was it all a mistake? Like all of these things are the same kinds of questions that every adoptee has, unless you have, I mean not every, but like a lot of adoptees have, and unless you have really known records or have some source to your origins, you just will never know. So I feel for them in that sense, and not discrediting any of their heartache, as that's not the reason for this, and I think that they have true heartache and it's real. I'm just simply comparing it to the average adoptee's experience and how I don't think that they're really that different. Yeah, so not knowing your origins, always looking for your birth families or your birth origins, whatever, like that's one thing. So let's compare them. They're pretty much the same in my book. And then there's the whole transactional part of it. So monies are being exchanged in a very shady back clinic kind of way for a baby. Same kind of thing with adoption, like through an agency. There might be a lot more paperwork and a lot more whatever, like steps to it through an agency, but it's, when you pare it down, it's a transaction. Falsified records. A lot of these people had, falsifications on their records, or had, this was actually interesting. Like a lot of the birth certificates had the adopted parents. Like, what did it say? It was like they were on like the original birth certificate, as if it was like a live birth to them. Like, it was like, I think that was, maybe I misunderstood that part, but like it seemed like they were live birth certificates with them as like the parents, like as if they had given birth to this child. I don't know. So like falsified records, that's something I think a lot of adoptees have. In my personal family, my sister came from Korea. Records were completely like not right. My parents believed they were getting a healthy 15-month-old child. And it was, and my mom and dad said, you know, like as soon as like literally like she stepped off the plane, it was like immediately apparent. She well behind the curve that they expected for this age of child, and she was not well taken care of, like all of this stuff. And you know, the agency even offered like that because the records were so wrong, like they could like basically exchange the child. And that's like not even a joke. Like that's like literally like my parents said they were given the option to give her back, and she would have gone into like, I guess, the foster care system like in the States. I'm not really sure of that part, but and like to get another baby from Korea, which that's like effed up like on so many levels. That is crazy. But obviously they didn't, and you know, she's a part of our family, and like they couldn't imagine doing that. Who would take that offer? It's like literally exchanging like damaged goods. Like you order something, it comes, it's not what you expect, like, or it's slightly broken, you send it back, you get a new one. Like that's what was being offered here. And I feel like in the docuseries too, one of the adoptees' parents, I think, had said something like that, where like, 'cause these babies were like, I guess, pretty premature. So they were like tiny, and they were being transported by car, like on a pillow on the front seat, like, you know, obviously before car seats or anything like that. But one of the parents, adoptive parents, were saying like, well, we didn't know if she was gonna make it, and I guess like the clinic had said that they would get the next baby then. So it's like literally like, oh well, you know, that baby didn't make it, like we'll just put you on the list, you'll get the next baby that comes out. So again, like I guess the exchange, like the whole babies they're just a baby, like, you know, we'll get you one way or the other, like it doesn't matter what happens to this baby. If this baby doesn't make it, don't worry about it, we'll get you another one. So that's all really something. This part was probably the worst part, and I think this was even, I'm sure this happens in regular adoptions too, but this was really, really messed up. So they had found one of the adoptees' birth families, and the parents had passed, but the adoptee had biological siblings. And I guess not only was this adoptee a twin, he was part of a twin set, it was a very much wanted pregnancy. And she lived her whole life like thinking she had lost these twins and like, you know, lost them in childbirth, or, you know, that they just didn't survive, when like, and this guy's like older now, he's like 70s or 80s or something, and he went his whole life not knowing, you know. So it's like, that's really tragic, and that's, oh my gosh, like, yeah, that one. So that's like unresolved. I guess they haven't found the twin yet, but, or they don't even know if the twin is alive or not. But they do know, because the siblings, the biological siblings, knew, or I guess they found, I guess the mother had always been grieving for that loss though. So yeah, just like the betrayal and the coercion of the birth mothers was just that part. I mean, that's really, 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 really sick. I think that they interviewed other ones who had gone into the clinic to get an abortion, because I guess he was doing like illegal abortions at the time, and they were basically, the birth mothers were convinced to continue the pregnancy so that this doctor could take the baby and sell it, basically. I don't think the birth mothers knew that part. They knew that the babies were going to be adopted, but they were just like convinced into this other path. And then I think they were given like a barely any money, which, you know, obviously they did the ultimate sacrifice, and they didn't get any of the profits, which, like, that's what this whole thing is for profits. And the fact that this doctor was like messing with everyone's lives. Anyway, the purpose of this video, I just watched this docuseries actually several weeks ago now. I just haven't been on YouTube much lately. It was very like hit home, like I feel for these people, but at the same rate, it's not really all that different from a lot of people I know, even myself at certain points. Like, I think a lot of adoptees can just relate to these people's experiences, and that's like through legal adoption. So like the illegality of it is not really, I guess, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Like, these people have true heartache. It's real, it's raw, it's everything that came with their stories. And I'm not trying to minimize that at all, but I am trying to make the parallel that, legal or not, adoption process, adoptees' lives are very much that, like the same kind of struggles and the same kind of unknowns and all of that. So anyway, just wanted to share my thoughts. If you wanted to watch it, it's called Taken at Birth. I watched it on Hulu. I think it's still on there now, but it was interesting, and it like certainly hit home for me as an adoptee. This is a random video. Let me know what you think. Like, if you think, is this like a stretch? Like, am I just like reaching too far to try to make these parallels, or like what you think about it, or if you watch the series, like what you thought about it. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.